So let's move on to a VOSOT. As with the VOs, the VOSOTs, you might be asked to do a YouTube type VOSOT, or you might be asked to do an independent VOSOT. Same thing, if you're asked to do the YouTube version, you find a story online in the category that you're asked to do it. You find the story, you write it in Rundown Creator, you find matching video on YouTube, and you edit the video to match what you've written. In the independent VOSOT, you need to come up with your own story idea by calling somebody up and saying, hey, I saw this story is going on. Can I just interview you very quickly about it? You will need to do an interview with just one person, and then you will shoot B-roll of the scene where they're at. For this, you will need the external microphone, and you will need a tripod. Once you've gathered the video and the soundbite, the writing and editing process will be the same, whether it's the YouTube process or the independent process. So let's say that you are assigned the YouTube VOSOT on the health beat. Okay, so if I was assigned that, I would go and look for a health story, and I might find here, let's see, I found one where Trump and Christie are pledging to combat the nation's opioid addiction crisis. Okay, so it's health related. It's a big national story and it's health related. So I read through the material. And then before I decide definitely I'm going to do this story, I say to myself, let's make sure that there's going to be some video and some audio that I can find on YouTube. So I go to YouTube, and as it turns out, here's a story about Trump and Christie. And I see that there's video of Trump, and I see that they're speaking away. Let's hear him speaking. Yeah, so there's soundbite I could use of him, and I think there's soundbite I can use from Christie. Okay, so I know that I can have soundbite from them, and then also I see that there's going to be lots of video that I can use to edit as well. Okay, so I know that I have video available to me, and I decide, okay, I'm going to write this story. So I read through the story, and I start writing it as a VOSOT. So I go into Rundown Creator, and here's my line that's set up as a Trump opioid VOSOT, and I'm given 45 seconds altogether to write it. So I've gone ahead already and started writing this story. And you can see that it starts out, if you look just at this part here, it starts out exactly the same way as the VO that we did. You start out with take live anchor, put the anchor's name in parentheses, so take live anchor in the square brackets, then you anchor person in the parentheses, and then you write your first sentence. President Donald Trump is vowing to step up efforts to combat the nation's opioid addiction crisis, and he's tapped New Jersey Governor Chris Christie to lead the fight. Okay, first sentence, that's with the anchor live on camera. But then the next sentences that the anchor person reads, I want video to cover. So for before the second sentence, I put take VO, and I know the video is going to be from Washington, D.C., so I put the super there. You see both of those have the straight line brackets, and that means they'll go on the left-hand side. So you see this, whenever they're in the straight brackets, they're going on the left-hand side of the screen. And then I write another sentence where the video will be covering the anchor. Okay? Trump convened an emotional roundtable Wednesday with Christie, members of a cabinet, law enforcement chiefs, recovering addicts, and advocates. It was the first public event tied to the launch of a new addiction commission that Christie, a longtime Trump friend and former rival, will chair. Okay, so eventually I'm going to edit video that's going to cover this. The next thing I write is that a soundbite's coming up. So on the right-hand side, I put in parentheses SOT, sound on tape, so that the anchor people watching the teleprompter will see it. And then on the left-hand side, I'm going to put the straight brackets, take SOT, time, and out cue. And then I know that I'm going to take a sound bite from Chris Christie, first line of the super, and the second line would be New Jersey Governor. Okay. So that, to find what he's going to be saying in his soundbite, and you listen to what he says and transcribe it exactly.
Every life is an individual gift from God. and no life is irredeemable. That's how hard it must be for you.
So then you write that in here. Every life is an individual gift from God, and no life is redeemable. That took about 4 seconds to say, 4 seconds long, and the out cue is redeemable. Okay? That's the out cue, or the last 2 to 3 words of the soundbite. Now, after he says this, you want the anchor person to come back and be live on camera. So you say, take live anchor. You put the anchor person's name, and then you write 1 or 2 more sentences for the anchor person to say live. Since they're speaking live in here, you don't need to worry about adding any video to this portion of it. So now that we have written it, the first thing we always want to do is go back and do the drop-down menu and make sure it looked right. So we go to printer-friendly scripts and take a look at the story that we've written. And here's what it looks like. We've called it Trump Opioid, VOSOT. It starts out with take live anchor on the left, anchoring on the right. This first sentence here is read by the anchor live. Then we have take VO, and so that's when the VO portion would go. Let's have a super. You'll see here it says SOT. It's in parentheses. The anchor person will be reading this. They see something in parentheses. They don't read it. We know that right here we've written take SOT. That means that this soundbite of Christy will start playing. And we know how long it is and what the last words are because on the left-hand side we've put those there. And when he's speaking, we'll have his name and his title come up while he's speaking because we have those directions here on the left. As soon as he finishes speaking, then the anchor person will start speaking again, and the director knows to bring the anchor person's camera up because it says take live anchor, and then the anchor person will finish the story by reading the rest of this. Okay? In this situation, we have the anchor coming back live. If we wanted to have this as a VO, SOT, VO, that would mean we would say take VO tag, we put that here, and we would edit video that would cover this. If that was the case, we would call this a VOSOT VO. Okay? In our instance right now, we are writing it as just a VOSOT. So now that you have the script written, it's time to do the similar thing that you did when you edited the VO. You first go to find the video on YouTube. You find the link. You copy the link. Once you've copied the link, you go to Online Video Converter. You place the link, paste it into here. Make sure you change the format to MP4, and you click Start. Once it's converted, then you download it. And once it's downloaded, then you go back into Adobe Premiere, you do File and Import, and you find the Trump story that you just downloaded, you import it, and it ends up in here, and then you drag it into your timeline. Okay, so now you have the video that you found on YouTube in your timeline. The next thing you want to do, very similar to where you did the VO, is you go ahead and you find the script that you wrote. Here's the script that you wrote. We'll just move this over to the side so we can edit and read at the same time. And you see that the first sentence that you had, first sentence here, is going to be read live. So you only want the video to start when the anchor person is saying, so you take VO, when they're saying Trump convened an emotional roundtable. So you want to start out with video of an emotional roundtable. So you look through the video that you have and you say to yourself, which one looks most like an emotional roundtable? And you say to yourself, okay, well, everything else is just sound bites, so I'm going to start out with the emotional roundtable here. Okay? So what you need to do is cut out, or cut here, and we're going to drag, seems to be separated still. We're going to drag this video all the way back to the beginning. And then we're going to move everything else out. And this will be our first shot. So while the anchor person is saying, Trump convened an emotional panel, you'll be seeing this. Trump convened an emotional roundtable Wednesday made up of members of his cabinet, law enforcement chiefs, addicts, and advocates. It was the first public something of a launch of a new addiction commission that Trump friend and former rival will chair, Chris Christie. Okay? So we've pretty much been able to cover this. But how about if we add a sentence, add a piece of video where it says, it's the first public event tied to the launch of a new addiction commission that Christie, a longtime friend and former rival, will chair. How about for that sentence, we'll see if we can edit a clip of Christie and him shaking hands. You see that? So we'll say, we'll put a cut here and here, and then we'll go back to the V, and we'll delete this part and see if we bring these two guys together, then we'll watch the video and read the words at the same time. Okay, if we can move this over a little bit. Okay, so the words are Trump convened, and we'll start the video at the same time. Whoa. Okay, so we see the words where the video is supposed to start is Trump convened. We'll watch the video at the same time. Trump convened an emotional roundtable Wednesday with members of his cabinet, law enforcement chief, recovering addicts, and advocates. It was the first public event tied to the launch of a new addiction commission that, so let's make this here. And we'll say, when they starts talking about Christie, that's when we'll bring Christie in. And then you move these things back together and you try it one more time, and it says, Trump convened an emotional roundtable Wednesday with members of his cabinet, law enforcement chiefs, recovering addicts, and advocates. It was the first public event tied to the launch of the new addiction commission that Christie, a longtime friend of Trump and former rival, will chair. Okay? So we have that, and the anchor person is reading that while this video is playing. Then you want to give it just a couple of extra seconds here, so 5 extra seconds for the video.
Every life is an individual.
We'll say we cut it off there. We'll shorten it to this portion. And now we have finished editing the VO part of the VOSOT. Once you have finished the VO part, you go File, and you save it, and you get ready to export it. And in this case, you're going to name it, this file, the same thing as this was named. So it was Trump opioid. Okay, so we're going to call this, Trump opioid. And we're going to call this VO. Okay? So this is where you notice the difference between a VOSOT and a VO. In the VOSOT, there are going to be 2 separate files that you're going to turn in. The first one is just the VO part of the VOSOT, so we're going to save that, and we'll export it. Okay? And that's going to be exported as your first of 2 files for this story. Then once that's all done, and that's exported, then you're going to go back to your timeline. You can get rid of the thing that you just edited. Bring this video in one more time. Okay, you're going to drag that into the timeline. And now we're going to edit just the SOT. So we find the part where he says, every life is an individual gift from God and no life is redeemable. Okay? So we go back to the portion and found where he said that.
Every life.
Right there. Okay? So we want it to begin right when he's saying that. So we use our cut tool, and then we go back to the V, and we delete the part that's before that, and we ripple delete so that this is the very first thing that you hear on this file.
Every life is an individual gift from God, and no life is irredeemable.
Okay, and that's all that we wanted there. Every life is an individual gift from God, and no life is redeemable. What I'd like you to do, though, when you have sound bites like this, is to leave a little bit of video still up. Okay, so to do that, what you want to do is make sure you unlink these two things and go to the video line, put your cut tool there, go back to the V, and then just delete the audio portion. So you have
every life is an individual gift from God, and no life is irredeemable.
Okay, and then you see there's no audio after that. So in this case, you are now done with this portion. So you will go ahead and click File and Export. And in this case, you're going to name this one Trump Opioid SOT. All right, the other file is named Trump Opioid VO. This one is named Trump Opioid SOT. Then you will save it and export it. So to review everything that we've discussed so far, we've talked about how to write and edit a YouTube VO, how to write and edit an independent VO, how to write and edit a YouTube VOSOT, and how to write and edit the independent VOSOT story. Now I'm going to leave all these directions in a print form posted on Moodle in case you'd rather read this in print form, but I'll also make it available in this lecture here if you want to review any of them. I would highly encourage everyone when they're formatting things to go back to week number 9 in Moodle and review the templates for each of these reader, VO, VOSOT to make sure that you're lining them up correctly. So now that you know how to use all these things, I want to talk about what you're being asked to do for your homework assignment. Okay, so for your homework assignment for this week, you're going to be asked to go to Rundown Creator. And if you look at the way it's set up right now, and you go to the Rundown Creator that's called Shafran Test. So you notice that here in Rundown Creator, there's a variety of people will have a variety of their tests in Rundown Creator. I want you to go to the one that says Shafran Test. And when you do, let's say your name is Smith, and you will find that you have 2 lines that you need to fill out. One is Smith VO. It has your name as the writer, and says that you have to write a VO that's 25 seconds long, and if you look down a little bit further, you will find your name also next to a VOSOT. Here's how you know that you're doing it, because your last name's in it, and you will see here that it's 45 seconds long is what you're asked to write. Okay? So you will go into Rundown Creator. You'll see that you have to do a VO and VOSOT. These will be YouTube VO and VOSOTs. So you'll go ahead and do it just like you learned in the video that I provided you. You can make them either on a state, national, or international story. They could be whatever type of VO that you would like it to be. You will find your story online. You will not copy and paste it, but you will write it as a story in Rundown Creator. So you will treat these just the way you saw me doing them earlier in the video. You'll go in, for example, into your Smith VO, and you will set it up with the Cake Live Anchor, however you spell that, with the straight brackets, and you'll start it out with the anchor person's name, and then you'll write a story that runs, what was the limit here? You're asked to write 25 seconds, so you're going to write a story that is 25 seconds or less. And here, when you're done writing it, you'll click Save and Close. Don't forget you'll have a first sentence, and then you, after the first sentence is when you want to have the take VO, just like you were instructed earlier. And the supers here, and your supers that we in our class designate with a £. And then you write the rest of your sentences, and then you go back and you edit it. When you're done writing the story, what I'd like you to do is convert from Smith VO to an actual slug. So if you wrote a story about a traffic accident, what I would like it to say is Rochester traffic acts VO. Okay, you can go ahead and change the title in there. Once you've changed the title there, when you go ahead and you edit your story, I want you to make sure that when you're saving it, you export the video with this exact same title. Okay. If you were writing your VOSOT story about a train derailment, you would change your slug to train derail. In here, it would be a train derail VOSOT. When you edit the VO portion of this VOSOT, you would call it train derail VO. And when you edit the soundbite portion of it, you would call that train derail SOT. That's when you're editing the video. Okay, so make sure always that the titles, the slugs in Rundown Creator match your slugs and your titles when you're video editing and exporting in Adobe Premiere. When you've written everything and when you have edited everything, then you will post the 3 pieces of video, the 3 files of video in Moodle under assignment number 12. You will have space there to post 3 of them. One will be your VO, one will be the video portion of your VOSOT, and the third will be the soundbite portion of your VOSOT. Those are the assignments for this week. Once you're able to do all this, then you'll start getting your assignments for the upcoming practice newscasts and eventually for the final newscast. Hopefully, with this experience, you'll understand what you're expected to do when the assignment starts coming. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to email me at any time.